Hey guys, welcome to our channel, Cyberspace VR. Today we're going to be talking about how not to break your Oculus Rift S.
We've had a good amount of experience with the Rift S, and we've seen some common ways that this headset can be broken. So we're here to help you know how exactly not to break it and how to troubleshoot it if some things do start going wrong.
A big part of the Oculus Rift S and its maintenance is just obviously taking care of your stuff. You spent a decent amount of money with any headset, but specifically the Rift S costs $400, standard. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less if you bought used, and you need to take care of your equipment. The biggest thing that I've seen people do that is a big mistake is not taking care of their cable. So it's really easy when you're playing VR to be playing and you spin around multiple times and your cable gets wound up in the not right way. And that's okay, that's not a big deal. Just every time you play VR, you need to unplug your cable from preferably both your headset and the computer, but honestly it's more of a hassle than it's worth to unplug it from the headset and then unwind it. Like you did when you were a kid and you had your yo-yo that would just get all wound up and tangled. You just hang it from a doorknob. You kind of do something similar. You run it out as long as you can and you spin it until it feels straight and secure and okay. And that way you don't get like what happened to this headset is this cable has really bad crimps in it that actually make this cable useless. So we have to buy a new cable for these people.
One thing to keep in mind as well is just avoid stepping on it as much as possible. One thing that we do for our VR parties is we make sure that people aren't wearing shoes while they're playing virtual reality games. Because with shoes and just stepping on it over and over and over again, it's going to wear it out. It's going to make it so it's not going to last as long and it's eventually going to break like what happened to the one that we have here.
Exactly. Some people actually buy they're basically cable management tools that you hang from the ceiling and they're stretchy. Now, that's all well and good, but you still have the same problem. If you're spinning in circles, you could damage the cable. So I actually don't recommend people do that. Just leave it on the ground, and that way you can feel it on your ankles, and you're always aware of how many times you're spinning around. And that way you can just, instead of stepping over your cable, you can just spin back around, and then you don't have to worry about unwinding it at all, because it's going to be straight and not twisted up.
I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is just be aware of your cable. Just make sure that everyone that is playing knows that the cable is very fragile. This is something that could be a really bummer if it gets broken, because it's easier to break than other parts of your virtual reality system, so you got to take more care of it than with other things.
Yeah. That being said, if it breaks, it's not the end of the world. You can just order a new one. You don't need a new headset or a new computer. It's just the cable. And it's kind of tricky to figure out that that's the problem. Luckily, we have access to plenty of headsets, and so we can just swap them out and see if it starts working again. And that usually does the trick, and that's how we figured out that this cable was bad.
Alright, so the next thing we want to talk about is the virtual reality headset itself. These are pretty durable. We got to give Oculus some credit for this, because they are pretty dang durable, but it is something that can break, and you have to take a little bit of extra precautions just to make sure you don't break it.
So with the headset, the key is just having a place to put it where it's not going to get hurt. This headset, for example, somebody stepped on it. Luckily, it didn't break all the way through the headset. It still has about an inch of good plastic left, but that's going to be where it's going to break eventually. So if these people had a designated spot for their headset, it would have been a lot better. It's going to last a lot longer. Some people use hooks. Some people just put it on a stuffed animal I've seen. You just need to have a spot where it's not going to get hurt.
Yeah. The biggest thing to keep in mind is do not leave your headset on the ground. That is just a recipe for disaster. The longer your headset sits on the ground, the more chances it has for someone to step on it, for someone to kick it, for something to drop on it. There's just so many ways that it can go wrong that you just got to take it. Just be careful.
The last part of the headset that we want to talk about are the controllers. The controllers are pretty freaking durable. I've actually seen one of these with an actual break through the ring here that still works fine. A good buddy of mine has that on his headset and he uses it all the time. But still, you don't want to do that. You don't want to risk punching walls and breaking your controllers, because then you have to buy a new one and they can be pretty expensive too. So the key with this is having a place to put it just like the headset, but also having a big enough play space. And so what I recommend is making your play space when you're doing your little diagram The instant thing that you want to do is give you as much space as possible, but that's not the best practice. What you want to do is leave about a foot or 2 feet of extra space on all corners. Obviously, that's not going to be practical for everybody, but if you do that, you're not going to be punching walls and you're not going to be breaking your headset.
That's true. It might seem like a lot of the things we're recommending to you are pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people don't do the small and simple things, and it really costs them a lot of money in the long run. There was one time that my mom got punched right in the face because we didn't stick to that rule of having 2 extra feet of room. So you just gotta be careful. Just do the small things that we're talking about. It might seem obvious, but they really do pay off in the long run, and you're not gonna have to spend extra money buying a new cable, buying new controllers, buying a new headset.
If you're watching this video, chances are you're the person that paid for this headset. You're the one that went out, you probably built your own computer, you probably have a headset in your room or whatever, and you probably take really good care of it. It's not you that I'm worried about. You shouldn't be worried about how you're going to break it. You should be worried about how other people treat your headset. And so for some of you, if it's just you, follow some simple tips, you're fine. But when other people are playing on, your Oculus Rift S, you have to be really careful. They're going to be the ones that are going to be careless. They don't know how much money it's worth. They don't know what it's like to break a headset. They're not going to treat your headset with respect. So you have to come up with some very simple rules that'll help them. So like we said earlier, just in review, don't wear shoes, don't step over the cable, make sure you do the maintenance on the cable afterwards, and then have a place to put it. And then lastly, make sure you have plenty of extra play space in your area so that people aren't punching things that they shouldn't be.
One last thing that we wanted to add in, we kind of wanted to leave it to last because it does get a little bit gross, is that you need to let your headset air out. This is something that we had to learn the hard way because with a little bit of sweat from playing Beat Saber for a few hours, our headset did break. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're playing VR, especially if you want to play VR games for an extended amount of time. Take it off. Let it breathe. It needs to breathe just like you need to breathe, and it needs to air out, or else it's going to the condensation in there might go in and break it. And there's very little that can be done. You can send it in. We sent our headset in when it broke, and we unfortunately just had to buy a new one. There's nothing they could do by that point.
And to be clear, that was an HTC Vive, and this is the Oculus Rift S. These are known to be a little bit more durable in that sort of way, but still, better safe than sorry. Don't soak your headset in your sweat. That's gross. Let it air out, clean it. All those things can lead to your headset lasting longer, which means that you're going to have more fun in VR, and that's what we want for you. We love VR. We want everyone to be able to enjoy it. And so other people, maybe when you let other people use your headset, they're going to sweat a lot more than you do normally, and you might have to take that precaution. So just be careful. Pay attention to how things are going. If people are complaining about the headset fogging up, that's a really good indicator that you need to take it off, let it air out for a bit. I would even dab it with paper towels.
Get paper towels, get one of those cloths, those really soft cloths that you can use for glasses and sunglass cleaner. Just go in and just rub it around, get some of that extra moisture out, and that will definitely go a long way when you're playing VR for extended amounts of time. Thanks again for watching. Again, we are the Cyberspace Virtual Reality. We're glad to have you here, and subscribe, drop a comment below if you have questions, comments, or concerns. We're excited to be here, and we hope that you are too.